And joining me now is Nick Huntington Klein, Assistant Professor with the Department of Education at Seattle U. Thanks so much for being with us.
Thank you for having me.
So first off, Washington's joined 20 other states in a legal challenge to stop the dismantling of the Department of Education. How do you think that's going to impact the implementation of this order here in our state?
Well, when it comes down to dismantling the Department of Education, there's three main things that they do, right? One is the funding that they provide, especially to special education and rural and low-income schools. The other is civil rights implementation of civil rights law. And then the third is education research. So the legal shutting down of the Department of Education, it sounds like their plan is to move all of the funding to other parts of the government, to other departments. If that happens, then we would expect that a lot of the, in terms of what Washingtonians can see in their schools, will on a day-to-day basis probably continue if that funding does stay intact. One other part of this is the civil rights changes. So the Department of Education is responsible for enforcing civil rights law, or at least it helps a lot in enforcing that law. And so the legal challenge that comes from Washington has something to do with the ability of the Department of Education to carry that out and their intended changes in the way in which they're going to enforce civil rights and the kinds of civil rights that they are going to focus on. In the executive order, there was a focus on making sure that schools were not going to be able to implement DEI policies. We've already seen some of that at the higher education level. University of Washington and Washington State University have already been targeted by the government for their DEI policies and other similar policies.
As you know, the Department of Education manages, I think, $1.6 trillion in federal student loans. Families are going to want to know what happens to those federal student loans and grants. So many students need that information to even accept admission to college, and they're going to be waiting for that in the months ahead.
So there was a big question, and everyone going in knowing that Trump is going to try to get rid of the Department of Education, not knowing whether this funding is going to get canceled or moved to other agencies. It sounds like the current plan from today's announcement is that they are planning to move that funding to other agencies, although we don't know how they're going to do it, to which departments they're going to do it. Are they going to cut some of it along the way, or is it all going to be maintained? So unfortunately, we don't get a lot of clarity on that today. We do see that the Department of Education was a pretty efficient administrator of these funds. If you read the text of the executive order, it talks about how the large amount of funds that the department processes was handled by a fairly small team. There's an intent to move that processing to other agencies where it might actually be a higher cost of serving the capital. So this sounds like the current plan is to keep that funding in place, but we don't actually have guarantees that will make us real confident that that's going to happen until it actually does.
So many question marks around so much of this. How do you think it's going to impact special education services for Washington, which currently receives both state and federal funding?
So one of the biggest things that the Department of Education funds is special education funding. Special education funding gets a large portion of its funding from the Department of Education. If that funding is to be cut, it would have a significant impact on special education funding, and you would expect that schools would have a very hard time keeping those programs going because of the large share of the budget that comes from the federal government.
Finally, in just about 30 seconds, just your overall reaction to this decision by the White House today.
So we've seen this coming for a while. We've known that Trump is going to dismantle the Department of Education or attempt to, and here is we see it in action now. So it's not a huge surprise, but we have a lot of reason to be concerned, especially with the way in which civil rights is going to be implemented. We are likely to see, just like colleges are currently seeing, a lot of districts or principals are going to have to choose between maintaining certain policies that they have in regards to supporting disadvantaged or minority students or LGBTQ students, or perhaps maintaining the special education funding. They might have to make that choice.
We really appreciate your time and your insight. Nick Huntington Klein, thanks so much.